Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha. 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 Vagisha Sharanam Sharanam Vagisha. Vagisha Sharanam Sharanam Vagisha. Vagisha Sharanam Sharanam Vagisha. Vagisha Sharanam Sharanam Vagisha. Sharanam Ganesha, 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 Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha. You work, I shop, workshop. Okay, yeah. So that means you Q I A. All right, yeah. Q and A.
Om Namah Shivaya. Swami, here my question is about grace, because grace seems to be the highway to self-realization. But is that possible, or we have to work hard like the rishis or whoever has um, reached self-realization? They have too many lives before to get to that grace, or grace can be a gift from God?
Mm. Very good question. What is grace? I'll try to answer gracefully. We have two kinds of pictures where regarding with this concept of grace. Even though it's used in the Christian tradition, especially the Catholic tradition, and also the Hindu tradition, we say anugraha, but we don't know how to translate. We don't know how to translate half of the things we say. So we pick already the concepts that are there. Grace, oh yeah, well and good. It sounds, it's a nice word. And so we also say grace. But the two understandings are slightly different. And it is important to look at those differences without any kind of a judgment about which is better or which is not. This is both of these are coming from ancient traditions, and then there is a certain difference. When we acknowledge differences, we actually become closer to one another. There is, in fact, we lose the fear. So it's not about putting the differences under the carpet and pretending it's not there. It is there. So in the Christian tradition, from what I can understand, grace is exactly what you said. It's a gift from God for whoever, whosoever he chooses. And this gift is dispensed based on whatever Bhagavan wants, Ishvara, God wants. In the Hindu tradition, this understanding of grace is slightly different, because we don't say it is dispensed, and neither do we say we have to work hard for it. So it's kind of in the middle. It is one's own karma phala. Karma phala means what? Fruits of, yeah, not anybody's action, your action. Okay, yeah. That part is important. So I cannot have the fruits of your action, and you cannot have the fruits of my action. We each keep all our own fruits. All right. Yeah. As the story of Valmiki illustrates. And we can look into that later if people want. Then, so it is the, so in a way, if I have had a desire, so many desires one may have. Maybe one wants to be successful, one desire, one wants to be rich, another desire. One wants to study Vedanta, third desire. Usually that comes last. If the first two doesn't work, oh God, at least let me study Vedanta. Put me in an ashram. Oh merciful one. This is the this is the last of the desires. Okay. And so now the desire is there, and all these things are there. Now, uh, out of that desire, the desire fulfillment for the desires that one has, number one, number two, number three, there has to be um, a pathway for the fulfillment of the desires. And one pathway is, as we said, through just living the life. That is one pathway. So I work for it and I do it, but sometimes even after I work for it, the neighbor gets rich this side, and that side neighbor gets famous, and so and so I don't feel like my prayers were answered. Actually they were answered, the answer was not yet. Okay, and I didn't I didn't listen to that. I don't want to hear no. So now the so despite my efforts, it is not coming true. That means there is a karmic impediment. And so I can intercede on my own behalf and pray for that impediment to be removed so that I can get what I want. Even if whether it is the study of Vedanta, which was third on my list, if you remember, or whether it is rich and famous, number one and number two, whatever it is, I I can do that, and I can pray and intercede. So the prayer in a way is a conscious and a sophisticated intercession on my behalf, on my own behalf, to say, come on, where has all my good karma from previous lives gone? Oh Lord, activate them. Oh Goddess, activate them. And then let me have the fruits of this, and let me have what I want. So then that grace is unlocked. It's not that you have to take many births. Many births, how many births you have taken, you don't know. I also don't know. Okay. And so that means we don't worry about the number of births. That becomes very, what should I say? Worrisome. How many births? Okay. 1,000 births. How many births more till I become a rishi? You don't become a rishi by taking births. You become a rishi. Rishi means a sage. Rishati janati iti rishihi. You become a rishi by knowledge, by study, by keeping the heart free to study and learn. not burdening the heart with a lot of useless things in life, like grudges and desires and raga, dvesha, all these things. And so in the Hindu tradition, grace is earned by the punya, including prayer. Okay, it's not hard to earn. Grace is much easier to earn than money. Definitely. Money comes, money goes. Grace comes and stays. Really. It burgeons and it reproduces itself. That's how it is. And here we talk of, for the study of Vedanta, we talk about three kinds of graces, whose blessings we need. And all of them start with M in Sanskrit. So you've heard of M and M, right? Yeah. So this is M and M and M. Three M's. What is the first M? Manushyatvam, human birth. That is a big grace. I could, without this grace, I could be a four-legged something grazing outside. Correct? Yeah. I could be an ashram cow. Most ashrams have something called goshala, cow stables, where the brahmacharis are sent to become stable. Okay, that's why it's called stable, cow stable. ah, the mind should be stable. So all the students are sent there. Go make some cow dung patties, very calming to the mind. And so then, because it is used as fuel, so you mix some straw and make the cow dung patties and dry it on a wall. This is what happens. And then use it for fuel, to cook and to heat the water, etc. This is how it was. So the you can be an ashram cow, and what do you get out of that? Nothing. You don't understand Tattvamasi. You don't understand. You may be grazing right behind the hall where the Mahavakya, the teaching, is being given. You can be grazing right behind it, but you don't understand anything. You can be an ashram cat. We have one. Every morning it comes. And it's a very regal cat. It needs not one, but two cushions, one for its body and one for its shoulder. Yeah, this is how it is all the time. A diva cat. Yeah. It sits right next to me, so I have a chance to observe it in the mornings. And it made me bring it some medicines also. I carried some medicines for it. So uh, but it is there the whole time. But can I talk to the cat? No. It will understand a few things. Treat. Dog. Oh, it will understand the word dog, perhaps. It will run away if you say dog. But it doesn't understand what I'm talking about. It doesn't understand Upanishad. It doesn't understand Ganapati. It doesn't understand grace. Nothing. So the human life is the first act of grace, which you have already earned. Thank God. You have this, so you don't have to work for this. Yeah. So how do I know if I'm a human being? Do you complain? Yes. Okay, you're a human being. So that means the first M is already gained. Thank God. Then the next grace, we say, we pray for this anugraha of what we call mumukshutvam, the second M. A long word, mumuksha, mumukshutvam, but it simply means the desire for freedom. So the desire for freedom from what? Anything that I do not want, any sorrow, any pain, any fear, I want to be free of it. And that also you have gained. No, I am not, I don't have mumukshutvam. If you did not have mumukshutvam, you would not be sitting in front of me. Take that. Yeah. Take that seriously. Even if you don't know the meaning of the word, you have it. You have a desire to be free of this kind of a life of, the daily grind. Eat, sleep, wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, wake up, go to work. This is not what you want. You want to know what is it that you are missing. You want to know how it is to be connected to everything. What is this oneness that I crave? What is this oneness that I want? What do I want to merge into? What is this source that I want to look at? This is what you want. This is also gained. mumukshutvam. Then the third M is Mahapurusha Samshraya. Samshraya means refuge, taking refuge in a teacher. That's very, very important. That's the third M. The first two M's, we are already there. The third M, some of you already might be there. Wonderful. And then some of you might be on the way to the third M, which is also great. And so the third M is important because I cannot be free without some help. I need some help. Everybody needs help. And we don't mind if you don't know cooking, you'll go to a culinary school. People don't mind doing that. If you don't know dancing, you can hire a dance instructor, cha cha cha. And and that's how it goes, doesn't it? Yeah. And then you can hire a dance instructor. And if you don't know the stock market, see, nowadays all of them call themselves gurus, and stock market guru is also there. Here, people don't have any problem going to a stock market guru. And if all else fails, and if you are celebrity in Hollywood, you also need a life guru, aka life coach. Okay. So if one is a celebrity and one is about to have a wardrobe malfunction because one has too many clothes and the socks don't match, two different shades of orange. Oh, the travesty. And so, so this is, so then what do? You call the life guru, please help. And then what will the life coach say? Breathe, take some deep breaths. They change the tone of their voice when they talk because they want to calm you down. You're having a meltdown. And then they want to calm you down. And then they will say, slowly look around. Is there a paper bag next to you? Yes. Okay. So breathe into the paper bag. Little bit of carbon dioxide is very good to clear the head of anxiety, I hear. And so this is a life coach. I met one. That's how I know, because I talked to these people. I met one in Denver. I went for a conference and I met this life coach. And the life coach told me what all he did. He was from Los Angeles and he was coaching all the celebrities how to have a good life. And then I happened to run into him in California 6 months later. I said, "Hey, how is it going?" And he said, "I'm having marital difficulties." And so poor life coach also, you know what to do. And that also. So even though the word guru is used for all of them, the meaning of the word guru is Mahavakya Upadesha Karta, the one who teaches I am non-separate from the whole, from the source of this universe. That is really the traditional definition of guru, the one who dispels my ignorance and gives me knowledge. That is the guru. Okay. And so samshraya means taking refuge in the guru, because the teachings, the Vedas, the Upanishads do not talk. They are not audio books. Okay. Yeah. The guru is the magnifying, what is this called? Microphone. Yeah. The guru is the microphone of the Upanishad, brings it to life and makes it pertinent to this particular day, this particular time, this particular milieu, so that it is tailored to you. Otherwise, you read the Upanishad, there are so many translations from Max Muller onwards. What do you understand? Nothing. This is what. This is why these three kinds of graces are talked about. You have to earn these graces for the pursuit of knowledge and for knowing the self. This is what we say. It is not hard. It is not difficult, because first two is already done. Check, check. Only one is left. Easy. Yeah.
What would be the way to remain cheerful? Maybe 20 by 7 or
24 7
18 by 7,
365.
18 by 7 or
Ah.
something like that.
24/7, 24, you don't have to worry, because let's say these days they say you need a lot of sleep. So 10 hours sleep and do some things. 8 hours, but before that you have to wind down and calm yourself down. So you give yourself, 10 hours. So that's only 14 hours of transaction, correct? And if you get up in the morning and tell yourself, I'm going to be cheerful for the next 14 hours, I guarantee you, in writing, I will write it, that you will immediately feel like killing someone. Definitely. It's guaranteed. Immediately, the next person you come across, you'll say, why are you alive? This is how, because it's too much, 14 hours. And I'm giving myself a directive. Hey, you, whatever your name is, you are going to remain cheerful for the next 14 hours. I won't feel like getting out of bed. I'll say, what's wrong? This is not okay. And I'm not going to be, I can't do this. It's overwhelming. It's too much. The mind is like a child. If the mother tells the child, honey, entertain yourself, or the babysitter is with you, I'll be back in 14 hours, it doesn't even have the concept of that. So the mind is exactly like that. Oh, so should I tell myself for 1 hour I'll be cheerful? No. Just say, how do I feel right now? Am I in pain? Hopefully the answer is no. And am I anxious? No. Let's say you just wake up, and then as soon as you wake up, you say, I am okay. You tell yourself that I'm okay. And then, but what if I'm in pain? Don't say I am in pain. Identify the pain. Usually it starts, the answer that comes is I am in pain. But when that I is unpacked, it will be the little toe of the left foot that is on in pain. So you have to localize where it is hurting, and then you are already cheerful. Thank God. You're already cheerful, because the I has now, it's not the whole body. The I is not, the pain is not pervading the whole I. The pain is just the little toe of the left foot, easily taken care of. I banged it against the door yesterday, and so it is feeling a little bad. So put some balm on it, put a band aid on it, whatever it is, wrap it up, and then you already feel cheerful. So you localize the feeling. Generally, the tendency is to globalize. You want to make it a huge deal, but you make it a small deal. Everything, all the problems, and there will be problems. Somebody asked me, if I study Vedanta, will my problems go away? I said, no. Oh, then why am I studying Vedanta? To be bigger than your problems. If you are bigger than your problems, then what happens? The problems are tiny, 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 small, 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 small. And if you are bigger than the problems are easily taken care of, or not, doesn't matter. Let some small nippy things bite you, doesn't matter, it's okay. You can deal with it. So this is how you cultivate an attitude of cheerfulness. You be right now, right here. Right now, am I hungry? No. That's good, wonderful. And then if I catch myself wondering what will I eat tomorrow, don't worry, go there. Right now, am I hungry? No, I'm not. And I'm okay. Right now, the tummy is full. Right now, there is no reason for agitation, for scarcity, for worry, etc. That scarcity is the problem. That scarcity mentality eclipses the general cheerfulness. Cheerful you already are. And we just have to own it up and be that. Nice question.
I have a follow-up question on grace. So you were saying grace is easier earned than money.
Yes.
And
In a
then
way,
and
yeah.
then you hear also a lot, this is Guru's grace.
Yes.
So what does that mean? And what is it that we can do to earn more grace?
Ah, Pray. That is easy. I'll answer the last part first. Earning grace is through prayer. Grace comes before money. Really. Grace is easily earned because when you pray, something magical happens, which we think it's inexplicable, but actually there is an explanation. And that explanation is very easy to understand. When you pray, you are using the free will, much more so than when you decide to go to the movies. Both the places you think you are using the free will, but actually in prayer, the will is totally free because you are not, your heart is not set on going to the, on going to the, your heart is totally set on going to the movies. And if something happens that you cannot go, you feel sad. Or if the movie doesn't stand up to your expectations, again you feel disappointed. But in prayer, you need not pray. A person who doesn't have money, let's say, is being practical and praying for more Lakshmi to come into their lives, let us say. They want money. So when they pray for money, it is just, they need not pray for money. They can go rob a bank. But there is a choice here to do the right thing. There is a choice here to surrender to the forces of the universe and to reverse the karma that is denying me the money or whatever I need right now. There is a choice that I'm making. So the will is free because one need never pray, but one chooses to pray. So this is only of the two, there is only two conditions where the will is free: in praying and in other kinds of reaching out actions, like making a donation, like helping somebody with their needs. Seva. In seva, the will is free because you need not do that. And in prayer, the will is free. That's why the grace is, that's why the prayer and grace go side by side. Prayer is the grace is an outcome of prayer because it neutralizes or even mitigates the problems or obstacles standing in the way of your desire. And Guru's grace, we say, because we see in the tradition, we take the Guru to be an embodiment of Ishvara, of God. So therefore, Guru's grace, Bhagavan's grace, same thing. And so, and then you will also encounter, a little follow up on this too. You will also encounter in stories in the Upanishad where the student says, oh Guru, I want to please you. Or sometimes it says, the Upanishad says, having pleased the Guru, the student started to study. And first, when I came across these, I thought, why do we have such cross gurus? Why do they need to be pleased and kept in a good mood? When I was very young and I was reading the Upanishads for the first time in my teens, I used to think, what is this? But then I understood that it is the teacher is already pleased. So you don't have to please the teacher or put the teacher in a good mood and first feed the teacher lots of sugar and then come and sit in the front of the teacher after a lot of what should I say, chemical alterations have happened. That's not the idea. Pleasing the Guru means showing that you are ready to study. That is what it is. That's how you earn Guru's grace. Guru's grace means teaching. The teaching that easily is transmitted. But if I don't have space, then where will the teachings come? There I'm full of myself, and not in a nice way. I'm full of myself. There is no room. Yesterday I was telling you the story of the Zen master who was keeping on pouring the tea until the tea spilled over. And the student says, what are you doing? Well, that's how your mind is like. I can't teach you. And there has to be some space. So the prayer for every person who wants to grow spiritually should be, let there be less of me and more of you, O Lord, O Guru. That's what it is. Abide in me as me. More me means more pain, more sorrow, more questioning, more doubt, more scarcity, more complexes. And all that we want it to go down. Yeah. And then, Shambhavi, there are two people in the back. Okay.
Hello. Uh,
Hello.
Thank you for taking my question. So this question comes from a kind of blockage that I feel
A
to
block.
a block
Huh.
to find God. The reason is because since early age, I set up my goals, and she knows not to feel fear and not to feel sorrow. And whatever is happened, I never feel fear, and I feel it goes away too fast. The same for the sorrow. So she says it's kind of ego. I don't feel it that way. And my question is, how can I find God from this point on my life? Because I'm humble and I'm empathetic, and I can cry for the minimal things. I mean, I'm not hard from the heart, but how can I find God if I don't feel the need to suffer or feel fear?
How can you find that? What is that
Uh,
that you want to find?
to connect with God.
Ah, yes. That's the very important thing. It's very commendable that you decided one day not to feel fear and not to feel sorrow. Wonderful. Very nice. But we also have to make sure that we are not suppressing it, whatever you're feeling. Because one way to say is, I'm not going to give in to the fear. I'm not going to give in to the sorrow. I'm not going to be held hostage by the sorrow. You understand that, right? And I'm not going to be made a prisoner of this fear. If that is what you have decided, that's a wonderful goal. If that is not what you have decided, that is the way to move forward now. To say, I'm not going to be under the grip of fear. I'm not going to let sorrow have the last laugh and hold me as a prisoner, hold me as a hostage. That is a better sankalpa, intention, than to say, I'm not going to feel fear or sorrow. Because if we were in charge of our feelings, then we would not feel, we would not need Vedanta at all. Because everybody can make a sankalpa saying, I'm not going to feel fear. Fear, bye bye. Sorrow, bye bye. Anger, bye bye. Tata, tata, tata. And then who needs Vedanta? I'll be out of a job, and so will all the swamis. And so this is what. So therefore, when we say I am not going to feel fear, transform that. Just add a little bit. I'm not going to be in the spell of fear. That is what the thing is. Then you see that then you don't have the pressure to not feel afraid or to not feel sad. You welcome the emotions. The emotions are a manifestation of Bhagavan. Bhagavan has given the emotions because they are like the safety valve of a cooker, pressure cooker. Otherwise, the pressure builds up. And what happens? It literally blows the lid. Yeah, Indian pressure cookers always do that. Yeah, when I was small, the neighboring lady came. She was very agitated. And she called my mother, and she called the mother and said, oh, please come see this. And so I also went. And the whole kitchen was yellow, dal, mung dal kitchen wallpaper. Yeah, everywhere. And then they were all looking up. I said, why are they looking up? And the lid of the pressure cooker had gone and stuck to the ceiling. And so I said, oh, this too happens. And then when I started to study Vedanta, I said, aha, this is what happens inside when we don't have a safety outlet for the feelings. So it's not wrong to feel sad. It's not wrong to feel afraid. You can give, so long as you don't hurt yourself or others. It's just a feeling. Don't give it the time of day. If you tell it, I am not going to feel afraid, I'm not going to feel sad, we are giving that fear too much power over us. I'm going to avoid you. And you know, in life, whoever has lived for some length of time, whatever you try to avoid, you get two helpings of that. So I would put a few things, insert a few things there. That's all. And then it becomes a very, very wonderful sankalpa, intention, sadhana, a practice. And that is what it is. It's not that I don't think you are not humble. That's not the issue. I think that it is difficult in general to process feelings for everybody. It's difficult to look at fear. It's difficult to look at sorrow. So next time the sorrow comes, welcome it. You are never sad. You are Satchidananda. You are never afraid. You are Satchidananda. From the Satchidananda self, look at this little suffering being and say, you will be okay. You have to reparent that one who is affected by the sorrow, affected by the fear. Did that make sense? Yeah.
Hi there.
Hello.
Since the class is to do with through prayer, I was raised in the Episcopal Church, but I've been studying this, and the question is really prayer itself. What
Yes.
does that need to mean? Because some people pray in a temple, some people pray in a church, some people pray under the stars.
Yes. Under the tree, under the stars. Absolutely.
So does it have to be a Dear Mary full of grace, I mean, or could it just be kind of something you abstractly ruminate about?
It can be any form. You can say, Hail Mary, full of grace. Please find me a parking space. You can pray like that. You can pray like that, no problem. And she will. She will, if your karma doesn't come in the way. You can pray in the church. No problem with that. You can pray in the form of an elaborate ritual, Catholic mass. You can pray like that. Or you can pray in a homa, in a yajna, in a fire ritual. You can pray. All forms of prayer are valid. And just a small footnote here, God knows all languages. Okay, so you don't have to pray in a particular language. People think, oh, if I don't know Sanskrit, I can't pray. No, you can. You can pray. And then sometimes people think prayer means I have to worship and adore God. This I have to say a few words about, because sometimes you don't feel like adoring God. Because sometimes you don't like God. Why? Because your life is odd. Okay, that's why you don't like God. You don't like what is happening. And if God is responsible for everything, this is what you have heard, and you don't like God right now. So what do? In the Hindu tradition, there is a lot of room to abuse Bhagavan and get away with it thinking it's a prayer. It's just wonderful. Very nice. You can say, are you blind? How could you do this to me? And it becomes a prayer. Because there is a sincerity. Because you don't abuse somebody that is non-existent, do you? No. You abuse somebody that is existent. And if you are abusing Bhagavan, and if you use all the choicest four-letter words that you know for and direct it towards Bhagavan in our tradition, it's not blasphemy. It is a form of prayer because you have made this real. You have made the relationship real. You don't go and ask a stranger, how dare you do this to me? Well, you don't have that freedom. When you take that freedom with Bhagavan, then it truly becomes prayer. It really becomes prayer. And in our tradition, all this is very much possible. We have different forms of devotion. You can say Bhagavan is baby Krishna. Baby Krishna is, my child. So there is what is called Vatsalya Bhakti, a motherly love, motherly affection you can have. Or you can say, Krishna is my father. You can say, I am the baby. Krishna is my father. And the goddess is my mother. You can say like that. That's what we say at the end of the Arati, Tvameva Mata, Tvameva Pita. You are the mother, you are the father, you are my friend. Mirabai, the saint poetess of the 14th century in India, said, Krishna is my husband, and prayed like that. So there are many, many forms that devotion can take. That is not important. What is important is that the relationship must be real, it must be enacted. And when that relationship becomes real, the heart is touched and the heart blossoms, it transforms. So even if you say a lot of prayers, but then the mind is somewhere else. And this is what Saint Kabir said in a couplet. The beads in the hand go round and round, and the tongue in the mouth goes round and round. And then thoughts in the head go round and round. This, my dear friends, is not meditation. This is what he said. This is not prayer. It's just a mechanical thing. Oh, I'm supposed to do 10 rounds of mala. 108 into 10, 1000. I'm going to do. And Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And then the mind is just going all over the place. That is not as effective as just talking to Bhagavan. So you have to mean it, and whatever it takes to mean it, to be in sincere communion. That is communion, is to mean it, and is to make that relationship real. That is what has to be done. And then what happens is that there is a transformation, there is an inner transformation. So that's why we have a few steps. We have it can even be 3 steps in the puja. It can be 3 steps. If you have a little more time during the weekend, 5 steps. And then once a year, you can do 16 steps. You can do whatever you want. You put a little bit of water, you put a little bit of dry fruits, and you wave a lamp, and you say, may my day be free of obstacles, or give me the strength to face whatever comes, whatever you want to say. But then the day you forget to make that offering because you had to go to an important meeting, you ran out of the house, already got into the car, then you remembered you were late, but still you got out of the car and said, oh, I should not leave God hungry. I have to go do my little water and my little ritual. And that is the day the relationship has become real. And that is the day you can say, whatever you are doing has been transformed into prayer. Prayer is the language of making this connection real. Yes.
Right there. I have a difficult question. I just wanted to, okay. Um, I've been a yoga teacher for a number of years, and in the past couple of years, I've read about something called cultural appropriation.
Mm.
And so I've been trying to understand what this means for me as a yoga teacher, and for me as someone that aspires to be authentic. And, uh, and I guess, people are saying that it's cultural appropriation to take on Sanskrit names, to wear clothes, Indian clothing. And then there's a lot of guilt, that I feel, in terms of what my ancestors, did in throughout the world. And so I just want to ask for your wisdom, on what I could do, as a yoga teacher and as a human being to not be part of cultural appropriation.
You are a blessing, and you are erasing, as we speak, so many years of that ancestry that you talked about. And so, if you have studied yoga in an authentic place and you are practicing it authentically, there is nothing wrong in that. That is your calling, that is your occupation. And if you want to wear Indian clothes and eat Indian food and have a Sanskrit name, you have my permission. Do that. Have fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
One person before and then you.
Hey, what's the meaning of surrendering in the spiritual path?
Surrendering what?
Surrendering in the spiritual path or in
Oh,
the spiritual-
path. Okay. Yeah, see, this is a very good question. People get afraid. Like I said, it's easy to have a guru of all kinds of things, life guru, this guru, that guru, everything. But when it comes to the guru that teaches you how to be free of samsara, fear, pain, etc., then people start having allergies. Hives start to come up because we hear this word surrender. Oh no, surrender means become disempowered, give up my power and follow somebody. Not on Twitter, that's easy. Okay. So follow somebody and then do as they say. Guru says sit, I sit. Guru says stand up, I stand up. How terrible. Yes, it is terrible. And that is not guru shishya relationship at all. And that is not the spirit of surrender. It is terrible. That is not the culture here we are talking of. We are not talking of a culture of surrender here. If that is what is going on, it is a cult, not culture. It's a cult because it's centered on a person. But you see, in the Mundaka Upanishad, we have the two criteria that are given how to choose the teacher. Not just how to be a student, how to choose this teacher. And the first criteria is make sure the teacher comes from a sound lineage that goes back many, many, many generations. And so the lineage, the sound lineage, is that which does not distort the message of oneness of everything in the Upanishads. So find that kind of a teacher. That's the first criterion. And so here then one is safe because the teacher who is teaching you was a student before and is not on an ego trip. I am God, you are not. That's not the message of the Upanishads. So the teacher here is not on an ego trip. The teacher here is but a scion of the lineage, is representing the lineage, is an embodiment of the teaching. And so you don't surrender to the individual that is standing there. You surrender to what the teaching comprises. And the teaching is a new pair of eyes with which I can see myself, a self that I cannot objectify, that I cannot reach, that I cannot understand. And despite of understanding, I'm in pain and sorrow so many times, I yet need to assimilate. So you don't surrender to the person. You surrender to the pramana, the means of knowledge, which is the Upanishad. And since the Upanishad is not an audio book, the teacher is the audio book of the Upanishads. So the teacher comes along. It's a package deal. So you surrender to the package. And there was, it's like when I was in Japan once, it was a group of religious leaders. And then it was some kind of a interfaith gathering. And on the last day of the conference, the organizers said, we are going to give you a bus tour of Tokyo. Nobody really wanted it, but we thought, because religious leaders are funny and their idea of fun is very different than many of the other people. We were just happy sitting in the hotel talking to each other. We wanted to talk to each other. But then we thought, okay, we'll please the organizers. We'll sit in the bus and talk. Oh, the best made plans. Then the bus tour came along with a very vivacious tour guide, unasked for, unplanned. And the tour guide was so enthusiastic. She was showing every pothole in the road and then and saying this was formed in 1968. And and all we wanted to do was sit and talk, but we had to nod our heads and show polite interest. Look at this building, look at that government building, look at this lake, look at that. It was all very nice. That's not what we wanted to do. So we had to surrender to the tour guide. This is exactly what the guru is. Okay, it's part of the package deal. You want to go on an Upanishad trip by yourself, not permitted for health and safety reasons, and the guru comes along for free. So you surrender to that situation, that impossible situation where you cannot intuit the knowledge, where you need this help, and you surrender because you need the help. You don't surrender to the individual, you surrender to the pramana. Pramana means the new pair of eyes, which the Upanishad is. You surrender to that. That's what is the surrender. See, it is already less scary, right? Yeah. Here, this one.
So you talk a lot about people complain. We all complain. Everyone complains. And I've come across people in my life, and I'm sure other people have too, who family or friends who constantly complain. They'll want advice. You give advice. They don't
take
listen.
it. Yes.
Right. And then you have that conversation all over again.
Yeah.
And if it's a family member, you don't want to necessarily
Tick them off.
yeah, or
Yes.
shut them out of your life.
I know.
So
Mm.
you can avoid them. That's an option. but I
Sometimes you
just-
can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not an
exactly.
option.
And
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So just curious.
Yeah, what to
how
do,
you-
really?
what you do.
A very difficult situation. Yeah. It's admittedly difficult. Yeah. Because you see, the thing is, they come to you and they ask for advice. And you, being the good Samaritan, you give the advice. But then they don't take it and they ask for it all over again. So think of them as being put there by Bhagavan to increase your spiritual growth. Yeah, by leaps and bounds. Thank them. Give them flowers next time and say, thank you for contributing to my titiksha. You know what titiksha is? Titiksha means the patience of a saint. Yeah, that is titiksha. Thank you for helping me cultivate titiksha by force, because otherwise nobody would choose to have patience. Even if you pray for patience, the prayer would kind of sound like this: oh God, give me patience right now. This is how it would sound. So you thank them because they have really opened the doors of spiritual growth to you in a way that even Bhagavan could not have. That's why he put them there. He has put them there, she has put them there, so that you will grow. And then after a while, you know what happens is that, so first you will say, patiently, you will tell them. You will say, without censure, without annoyance, without worry, you will slowly say, you don't even have to remind them. We talked about this last time. You don't even say that. Give them the benefit of doubt. If they are coming to you as though this conversation has not happened, and it's happening fresh, you also treat it freshly. And when you treat it freshly, you have the choice of how to respond rather than to react. because they obviously one time was not enough. It hasn't gone through. And second time, not enough. Whole life you keep telling them not enough. So you become a very patient person. Then after you gain that patience, or along the way as you are gaining the patience, you can tell, you instead of giving them, you can then see that when they ask for advice, some alarm bells go off. This is a setup. And this time I'm healed enough to not fall into this setup. So next time you can say, like supposing they come and say, oh, I'm desperate and this is not going this way. And I thought it would, it's all going wrong. Help. What do you think? How would you do it? You are so bright, so intelligent. In fact, I know you are brilliant. I know the answers are within you. And I'm here to listen and help. Let them talk. Yeah, easy for you. Then you don't have to be frustrated. Let them talk. Yeah. Congratulations. Here.
Could be a follow-up question to that. What about the other way around? We keep hearing the knowledge so many times,
Yes.
and we get it sometimes,
Yes. You'll get it.
and
You'll
then
get
it's
it.
gone.
It's not gone. It's there. It's as though gone. You see, you don't know me yet very well. But when you get to know me, you'll see that my favorite words are as though. Okay. It's as though gone. It's not gone.
But how do you
It is just,
establish in that?
you see, the thing is, when the sun eclipse, twice a year it comes. So when you have the eclipse, you don't say the sun is gone, the sun is gone. Maybe the primitive people said that. Caveman and cave woman were very agitated when there was an eclipse because they didn't know any better. Abba, they were relieved. Oh, and then after a while, they observed the phenomena and humanity understood this is an eclipse. It comes, it goes. It comes, it goes. This is what the Dakshinamurti the shloka says. Rahugrasta divakarendu sadrisho maya samachhadanat sanmatra karanopasamharanato yo bhut sushuptaf puman. Like this. It's just like this knowledge is as though eclipsed by the force of my likes, dislikes, fears, sorrow, agenda, unconscious mind. So I work on cleansing the inner infrastructure so that there is the darshan of Bhagavan within the thicket, the thick forest of strong preferences and prejudices. So Bhagavan is already there. You just have to clear the way. That will happen. It's already happening. See, yeah, it's already happening. And how do you get established in it? That was your part B question. It is through Shravanam. When in doubt, Shravanam. Next day, what is for breakfast? Shravanam. What is for lunch? What is for dinner? Shravanam. Shravanam means listening to the knowledge. This is not about reading. I have read the Kathopanishad, big deal. Nothing happens. Yeah. Business as usual. Nothing happens if you read. Reading the Upanishad is a waste of time. Let me tell you that. Nothing will happen. You have to listen to a person who is qualified to give you that. You have to listen. And now, thanks to the pandemic, all the gurus are coming home on Zoom. What is your problem? No problem at all. Pick a guru. Yeah, choose a guru and listen. Just listen, 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 listen. Yeah.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
The name of your organization, can you speak on that? Like, what was the intention or meaning behind it?
Oh, my guru gave the name. So, Arsha means it's a kind of a noun which means that it is from the rishi, from the rishis. And so knowledge of the rishis, vijnana, knowledge. So jnana is enough. But when you say vijnana, It means well ascertained, well established knowledge. And Gurukula. Gurukula means, the it is actually right now because of pandemic, it's a Zoom kulam. Okay. Yeah. Not so much Gurukulam, but it's okay. It's a place of study. That's what it is. So that's he gave the name.
Hello, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom. I'm something that I have through my life, daily life, every day, is the feeling of guilt and responsibility to others and separating it from those that really I need and want to help
Mm.
and those that I really shouldn't offer my helpings to.
Yeah, so brilliant. Please finish. Yeah.
And I'm new to this practice and wonder if the conversation about grace and the three M's, the second M, I can't pronounce it, but you were talking about free will. And I wonder if somehow the release of guilt and the feeling of responsibility for others is really my choice.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Once you have made the choice, then it's both a choice and a habit. So the choice you can make, but it's also a habit. So that habit will take a little while to wear out. In the light of this awareness, the habit will go. So there is a mantra, a self-affirmation mantra. I am enough. I do enough. This is what you keep repeating. I am of total value if all I do from here to the rest of my days is to just sit and breathe. I am still valuable. I am enough. So when you, and this is a very healthy thing to have that discernment, and I applaud you for it, I commend you, because when we have that discernment that there is some kind of a pattern here and there is some kind of a leakage of whatever needs to, there is some kind of a pattern of trying to help. No need to help. It's okay because help will come. And sometimes we over help because we don't trust that it will be taken care of. One lady came to see me and said, I'm in a this was in Washington, D.C. And she said, I'm in a terrible quandary. My teenage children are having exams and my husband cannot even boil water. He's just inept at everything. And then my father is sick. I have to go to India. I don't know how I'll go for 2 weeks. And I just don't know. I said, they'll be okay. You can go. And surprisingly, the husband and the teenagers wanted to meet me as well. And I wondered why. So I said, okay, I will see you too. And they said, please make her go. So this is what it is. We think, we somehow start to think that without us, what will happen? And even though it is not, it's not an ego, it may not be an egoistic thought. It's just a thought like, I have over responsibility. Without me, nothing will run. But things do run. In fact, they fly, not because of us, despite us. Despite us, things will run. Trust that. Trust Bhagavan will take care. Say a prayer and just say, okay, it will happen. Because if you're not there, let's say you didn't take a phone call. Somebody needed you and you didn't take a phone call. They're not sitting there waiting for you to call back. They would have called 10 other people in the meantime and got the help they needed. This is how we tell ourselves. And we allow things to, we allow things to just be carried on. And there is great grace in that. That itself is an act of grace. It's self-grace. Atma Anugraha. If there is a fourth kind of grace, it is self-grace. Allowing myself to be in a position of teachability. Allowing myself to have that receptivity. That is the grace I allow myself.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
We are talking about prayer. I
Yes.
wanted to know how long should you generally pray? Like I know getting focus takes time, but just an idea.
As long as you want. Some days it'll be, yo, how are you? Fine. I'm fine too. Bye. I'm busy. And that's okay too. And sometimes you need a longer time. The more desperate the situations, the longer the time it takes to get to that place of communion and communication with Bhagavan, making it real. So it depends. It depends on how much time you have and how long. We really don't have a length of prayer. We have Shri Rudram, which is a very long prayer.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
prayers take hours.
very
Some
long
prayers,
prayer.
yeah. So,
Or we have the shortest Shanti mantra. Om Bhadram me api vataya manaha. The end. Yeah, that's all. That's all. Yeah.
Swamiji, I was trying to understand. We talk about Ishwara Arpana, but some tips to practically put it into action.
All this we have been talking, everything. Yeah. You pray with intention and you pray, you make the prayer real. In the beginning, it will not feel real. If one is not accustomed to praying, one will feel I'm faking it. Actually, you're not. And sometimes you feel you're talking to yourself. That's not a feeling. It is true. You are talking to the highest aspect of yourself, really. So you make it real. Do whatever it takes to enact that. It's an enactment. It's a relationship. And it's the primary relationship, really. It's the relationship of it's claiming your identity as a devotee. That's the primary identity. And when that is in place, then you can be a devotee son, a devotee daughter, a devotee husband, a devotee wife, a devotee mom, a devotee dad, a devotee employer, and a devotee employee, a devotee karma yogi. This is what it is. Always there is devotee in front of it, because when that connection is all right, I'm all right with everything. So that is what one has to do. That's what I can offer.
How would you clear the guilt you might feel if you didn't take a phone call and something really terrible happened?
Yeah, that's a very important question. You didn't take the phone call, something really happened. Again, you go to the larger, first you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself because of the circumstances of not having taken the phone call. Perhaps you were busy and then there is less guilt. Or perhaps you thought the person is just badgering you all the time and you didn't take the phone call, let's say deliberately, and then something terrible happened, the guilt will be more. And so you have to forgive yourself. You have to say, I have done the best I can. And I did the best I could. And you have to mean that. You have to embrace that part of you which cannot look at itself. And you have to absolutely, completely forgive yourself. And in that forgiveness, there is great liberation. So then, having forgiven yourself, then you look at the karmic trajectory. There is a karmic intelligence. Perhaps you were not meant to take that phone call. That's what happens. Otherwise, see, this is what it is. Like sometimes one goes to the hospital for surgery or something, and the doctors, despite their best intentions, the person loses the life, let us say. God forbid they lose their life, and then they find out, oh, this was not properly done, or there was some human error, something happened, like that. But then why that particular day of the surgery? Why those particular doctors? And why that particular surgeon? Why that particular disease? So many things. It's all karmic. So the karma of the surgeon here to feel guilty or whatever the difficulty is there, and the karma of the patient to finish the life, and the karma of so many other people, the karma of the hospital which is about to be sued. All this is part of a large knowledge, large intelligence, which is really beyond the scope of this little mind. And so when we look at it that way, there is no guilt. Guilt is also part of that large order. We see it like that, then it becomes much, much, much bigger. And the guilt is just a small emotion.
Thank you. I have a question on learning or acquiring knowledge. Earlier you said there's no point in reading the Upanishads.
Yes.
It is, we should listen to a guru or a master. In the morning, you said, when we encounter words, the first impulse is to reject them.
When we encounter what?
Words.
Words.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. The first impulse is to reject them. Correct.
That's what you said in the morning. So
Yes.
the question is, how does it work? there is intellect.
Yes.
There is intellect, how we can absorb.
Yes.
Then there is a whole education system.
Yeah.
Where everybody goes through. But then also, I heard that like the Ayurveda was downloaded by the rishis.
Yes.
So this is, maybe you can bring some light into this.
Yeah. You can also download an Upanishad. It is possible. If the mindset is like that of the Rishi, there is no problem in downloading, as you said, an Upanishad, allowing to channel an Upanishad. It's possible. It's not but the mindset must be like the Rishis of yore. And so the words are initially rejected. So we pray for the words not to be rejected, because the intellect and the mind thinks it is the agent of this knowledge. So it's trying to categorize this knowledge. Okay, you are like what? And where shall I put you? Which box shall I put you in? This is what the mind is saying to the knowledge. But in fact, the mind is what is boxed up by the first, it is boxed by the knowledge, and then it is boxed up by this knowledge, because the mind is not an agent, it is a servant of this knowledge. It is a place where the knowledge takes place. And that understanding allows me to listen in a different way. I don't listen analytically. I don't listen in order to constantly compare with the body of knowledge I already have. I listen with an open mind in order to be transformed. I don't listen to gather information. I listen to lose the idea that I am the agent of knowledge and I am an informant. That is a different listening. You relax and you listen. And so the resistance to the words are taken care of by the teaching methodology itself. That's why there are jokes, so that one can relax. When you laugh, one relaxes. And so the pedagogy that is there in the teaching tradition also has its ways of teaching, so that it bypasses all the mechanisms of rejection. Yeah. Yes.
I had a question about disease and prayer.
Disease and
Yeah.
prayer. Yes.
Mhm.
What is the question?
I guess if you could just speak to if there's certain types of prayer that are
Yes,
helpful
yes.
to heal
Yeah,
the
yeah.
body from
Yes.
disease and
Definitely. In fact, in the Vedic tradition, there are tailor-made prayers for various kinds of diseases. And so in the Atharva Veda, there are many, so wind-borne diseases, which I suppose this corona is airborne, airborne diseases, waterborne diseases. All these there are mantras to chant, incantations to do, and uh, and then sometimes what you do is you fill a pot with water. You have a kalasha, and you close the pot with a coconut and some leaves, and then you pray, and the water absorbs the mantras. It's very, very, it's a potent mantra absorber and a mantra conductor. And then you put the water all around the house, especially in a place which like you need to quarantine and you don't need to allow those energies of the disease to come in. You do that, and it's very, very powerful. So you can say, you can do that. And then there are pestilence, pest-borne diseases like plague, etc. That is called pestilence. And so there is mantras for that. The Atharva Veda is full of these kinds of mantras of how to make the body healthy. There's also general prayers to make me free of disease, may keep this body safe. And you can have new kinds of devatas based on that. And see, so for example, you see where there is a very elaborate understanding of how the eyes work, not medically, but according to the teachings. So the eyes see because of light. And what is the light? Sun. So if there is any eye problems, we are asked to chant a chant called Aditya Hridaya, Aditya Hridayam, which is actually an adoration of sun. And then it has a, what's its name? It has a very beautiful teaching of courage, because sun and courage, etc. is there. So Aditya Hridayam, if there are any eye problems and if there are any hearing problems, we invoke the presiding deities of the directions, space and sound. So like this, we have a very elaborate and sophisticated way of praying for freedom from diseases. And then any new situations comes up, then you can have a new thing. There is a shrine. See, when the AIDS epidemic happened in the 80s, so immediately a goddess shrine rose up in certain parts of rural India. More than one there is, I'm told. AIDS Amma. So you go to this goddess and you surrender and you say, mm, I bequeath upon you the power and the strength. I know that you can ward this off for me. So like this, people, and then there is the mother of all the poxes, chicken pox, Amma, smallpox, Amma. She's called Mari Amma. And then the worship is also very interesting. You don't do fully the worship because you don't want her to bless you, meaning she will come in the form of various poxes. So you don't do the full arati, you do only a little bit. And then as she's enjoying it, you withdraw it. No, enough. And then even the offerings are all cooling things like chickpeas and all these things. Same thing the patient is given to eat. Neem leaves, chickpeas, all these things, cooling things. It's so elaborate. It's so beautiful.
who would I talk to find out about a specific disease?
You can talk to me. If I can help
Okay.
you, I will. Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yes.
I leave tomorrow. But
Oh, you leave tomorrow? Okay, I'll talk to you today.
thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll talk to you today. Here.
I have a question about saying no. The word no, it's a very powerful word. Easy to say yes and feel good about it, but no, I have difficulty. I don't feel guilty, but I find that I use excuses.
Mm,
I'm overwhelmed. I
yes,
can't deal with it.
right.
How does one go about saying no and coming out looking, you want to look your very best?
That's the problem, you see. Yeah. There you hit the nail on the head, right there. Yeah, because when you say no, a lot of people are going to say, who are you to say no? I don't like hearing it. You are the worst person on earth. All these things come. So when you say no, you're not a very popular person. You're like the person who puts the what is that, fine on an overparked car when the car is parked and how do we greet that person? We greet the person who gives ticket for expired meters in the same way as we greet somebody who says no. Because everybody wants something. And if you are in a place to give and they want it and you say no, then there is a feeling of, they feel kind of small, I guess. I don't know what happens, but there is some kind of a change that happens. They feel ashamed. People feel ashamed. They feel small. They feel entitled to something that they wanted and thought they could have, but they couldn't get, whether it was your time or whether it was something they wanted, whatever it is. So, therefore, we have to allow ourselves to feel uncomfortable when we say no and embrace that discomfort. And the Veda says, Satyam bruyat, speak the truth. Priyam bruyat, speak it softly, gently, and in a loving way. No. It's not, but this is what the this is what the Veda says. It is easy. If you are not looking for a particular outcome, then it is easy. But we are looking for a particular outcome. We want them to be happy, but we want to also say no. That is difficult. That is what is difficult. So we don't, so Satyam Bruyat, speak the truth, but speak it nicely and lovingly. And if there is something that is difficult to say, difficult to hear, don't say it at all. So my question to you is, can you mean no without saying the word no? That is another option. Yes. Be quiet and act however you want. Yeah, you didn't say no. See, that is that is one possibility. Okay? Yes? All right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om